Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video, pause intermittently here and there to talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. This video comes from Volusia County Sheriff's Office down in Florida. There is no spokesperson on this video explaining things that are going on or anything like this. Found this video on the Volusia County Sheriff's Office YouTube page. They posted this video and had a description in the link, and here is the description. 3 arrested after Air 1 Canine Red lead deputies to suspects who fled traffic stop. This was published on July 15th, 2022. The incident occurred on July 15th, 2022. 3 occupants of a fleeing vehicle were taken into custody overnight after speeding away 20 plus miles from an attempted traffic stop in Daytona Beach. Just before 2 a.m., Air 1 was on proactive patrol when the crew spotted a vehicle driving recklessly in Daytona Beach. A deputy attempted a traffic stop and the vehicle fled at high speed, heading out of Daytona Beach and eventually into northwest Volusia County as Air 1 followed overhead. 3 occupants bailed out and hid off Clinton Cemetery Road, throwing a loaded AR-15 style short-barreled rifle and a bag of cocaine into the woods, where both were later recovered by deputies. An additional firearm was recovered from their vehicle. As Deputy Bissonette and Senior Deputy Whitson approached with Canine Red, all 3 suspects announced themselves, put their hands in the air, and were taken into custody without incident. Lee Chappelle, date of birth January 19, 1995, was charged with fleeing or attempting to elude law enforcement, resisting an officer without violence, and DWLSR habitual. Total bond of $16,000. I'm not really sure what DWLSR stands for. I'm going to assume that it possibly means driving without license or suspended revoked, driving with license suspended revoked, possibly. I'm not really sure. We don't have that kind of acronym here in Kentucky, so I have no idea what the hell this means. But and he also got several traffic citations. He has a prior conviction for fleeing and resisting arrest in 2016. Marcus Williams, January 11, 1987, was charged with possession of a firearm and ammunition by a convicted felon, possession of cocaine, and resisting an officer without violence. Total bond, $26,000. His criminal history totaled 25 pages, including aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, burglary, and armed burglary of an occupied dwelling, fleeing, resisting, and various other charges. Trayvon Addison, date of birth July 26, 2000, was charged with resisting an officer without violence, $1,000 bond. His criminal history includes 2 recent convictions for carrying a concealed firearm in 2021 and 2022. All 3 defendants list addresses in Crescent City. They were transported to the Volusia County Branch Jail, where they each remained in custody as of this writing, and writing was on July 15th, 2022. So I have talked before in the past in other videos about the criminal justice system and how it's a joke and how it doesn't really hold people accountable. This Marcus Williams guy, born in 1987, has 25 fucking pages of criminal history. 25 fucking pages. That's a fuck ton of shit right there, man. That's a lot. Obviously, this dude is getting out and being given chance after chance after chance, and is obviously, in my opinion, not serving the full sentence for his crimes. There are some people who quite literally just need to be locked away in a cage and never be allowed back into society. That's the nicest thing that I can say on YouTube. I can't really say some other things without it being, a strike on the channel for inciting violence or something like that. For example, if, you advocated or supported something like the death penalty, then that could be used against you. YouTube could say, oh, you're inciting violence. Even though you say that you support what is legal under your state law, they still hit you with inciting violence. So, fun little fact there. But yeah, there are people who are in society right now who do not need to be with us. They need to be in a cage somewhere in a prison, because that's where they belong. Just the same as a vicious dog. We all agree that vicious animals do not need to be roaming around on the streets freely. They need to be locked away because they're a danger to society. They could hurt someone. This dude, who has 25 pages of criminal history, who's been alive since 1987, is one of those people. Like, he don't need to be riding around with guns anymore. He needs to be locked away for a long time. And it's interesting, too, that with all this huge call for gun control here lately, with the incident that occurred in Texas, the school shooting, massive call to arms, so to speak, on saying we need gun control. But yet, when we catch these convicted felons with guns, the tone changes for some reason. The liberal left is, oh, they're victims. They need to be given a second chance. The system is racist towards them. They are underserved, marginalized, whatever. And then they back off on saying, yeah, lock them away. So it really makes no sense to me how the rabid liberal left wants to talk about taking guns away and making all these stiff penalties and blah, 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 blah. But yet, when the thugs, who are the real problem when it comes to guns, using guns in crimes, and the bulk of all the gun violence statistics comes from street thugs, when it comes to them and them using guns or carrying guns when they're not supposed to be using guns, there's a soft approach taken to them. And as I said, it's usually they're a victim. They're a victim of trauma. They were raised in a traumatic family home. They were raised in poverty. They're victims. They should be given a second chance. Well, how many fucking second chances are we going to be giving people? This dude from 1987, he's had plenty of chances, in my opinion. 25 fucking pages worth of second chances, and yet he is still out there doing stupid shit. Now, this video footage you're about to see, you do see them throw a gun away, and the dude end up recovering another gun from the vehicle. What if the police had gotten to them a lot sooner while they were in possession of those weapons? Would they have fought it out with the police? Would they have shot at the police to get away? I don't know. That's a good question. I would say there's probably a pretty good high chance that they would have. They would have shot it out. But and you'll see it in the footage, they take off in the car. There's no police cars around. They ditch the car and they get out on foot thinking they're going to get away. But obviously there's a helicopter ahead tracking every damn movement with thermal. So I think the only reason why the cops didn't have to get into a shootout is for that mere fact right there. They thought they could get away, but obviously couldn't outrun the helicopter, and they already ditched their guns at this point. Anyway, moving forward. So, the helicopter, that is a very unique privilege, I guess you could say, that only very few agencies in this country get to enjoy. The rest of the United States doesn't have helicopters to be able to utilize for law enforcement. A lot of places are just too poor to be able to afford it, because helicopters are expensive. When you look into the rotary wing asset itself, that is a high ticket item. Just the helicopter alone can be several $1,000. Like, it's going up into $100,000 range. Like, it's not like, buying a car or anything. It's like buying a whole fucking fleet of vehicles almost, and you just get one helicopter. And then the cost of the pilots to fly this thing. You just can't have one pilot, right? Like, you just have one pilot and expect 24-hour coverage. No, you can't do that. Pilots, employee has to have so many days off, right? So much time off. Work 40 hours. What, you expect one pilot to work crazy amount of hours? No, that's not going to happen. So you got to have multiple pilots, and then you've got to have maintenance personnel to upkeep this helicopter, to work on it, and then the parts and everything for it that you need to keep this helicopter in the air, the fuel, etc. And then this nice thermal camera, which is about the cost of a few cars. It gets expensive real fast. So only very few places across the country get to enjoy such a privilege. Everyone else is up creek without a paddle. But helicopters are a game changer. Like, once you get air superiority, it's on. Like, you have so many fucking advantages when you have rotary wing aircraft flying overhead with thermal cameras, tracking people, seeing what's going on, being able to direct people in, etc. So, for those agencies out there that, get to enjoy the helicopters, man, you guys are lucky. You really are. You have a quite unique asset there. So, this helicopter here is on a proactive patrol. So, my interpretation of that means the helicopter just flies around. It flies back and forth, probably monitors high traffic areas, looks for erratic drivers, etc., or watches large congregations of people within certain sectors and monitors what they're doing, etc. I'm assuming that's what that means. The helicopter crew had observed this vehicle driving recklessly and called in to ground units to come in and get them. So that's kind of cool. So having a helicopter being able to fly over known traffic problem areas is pretty cool. You can have eyes in the sky, looking down, watching people, seeing what's going on. The people are going to be completely oblivious to the fact that there's a helicopter, several thousand feet above them. They most likely got the windows up, and even if they don't have the windows up, they probably got the music on, the sound of other vehicles, etc. And the helicopter is not using a bright-ass spotlight, while it's driving around, shining down on the road, so it's not like they know they're being watched. So the helicopter crew gets to be able to see a bunch of stuff that ground units would never get to see unless they just happen to roll up on people. And typically when people see cop cars on the street, they don't really do stupid shit around them. So the helicopter gets to really monitor people in their true state, and where these people are feeling like no one's watching them and they can get away with whatever they want to get away with, and so their true selves will come out. So this is where they can really find the shittiest drivers. And speaking of shitty drivers, it is so interesting to me that the dudes who carry around large amounts of drugs and guns drive the most ridiculously fucking manner imaginable. Like, you've got large amounts of drugs in your vehicle, you're a convicted fucking felon in possession of a gun, and you're driving like a complete fucking asshole. Are you just like begging to go to jail? Are you just so fucking stupid that it never crosses your mind that you're drawing so much attention to yourself? That just blows my mind that these dumb motherfuckers do all this stupid shit, and then they drive like complete fucking assholes. Boggles my mind. All right, so I'll play the video and go from there.
Anybody around Mason and Washington for signal 12? Came out by Madison over in Daytona and actually did a 180 and spun out in the road.
Yep, I got eyes on it. I'm coming out on.
And 12F on Baywood, everyone you call it.
Okay, going east on Baywood around the 90 degree. Gonna be coming back out to Maplewood.
You're authorized for us, Central shutdown.
Copy.
6 for Holly Hill also, no pursuit.
Southbound Maplewood coming back out towards Mason.
And so it seems like to me, this guy is driving a Charger. You can tell by the rope tail lights.
12F on Baywood, everyone
Yeah,
you call
that's a
it.
Charger.
Okay, going east on Baywood.
You can hear that boy in the background too. Gotta love the sound of that Hemi.
Around the 90 degree.
So that also is something interesting too. So here recently, Dodge has announced that they are going to be discontinuing the gasoline-powered Dodge Charger and Dodge Challenger. What the fuck are these thugs going to do now? What car are they going to drive? It seems like every dumb fuck stick thug out there drives a fucking Charger. They're fucked now.
Gonna be coming back out to Maplewood.
You're authorized for us, Central shutdown.
Copy.
6 for Holly Hill also, no pursuit.
Southbound Maplewood coming back out towards Mason. Northbound Clyde just past Jimmy Ann. Northbound. Coming up Bill France.
County has charges, everyone's on top of it.
Yeah, 95 northbound at LPGA. Still westbound, State Road 40, high rate of speed, just past Timber Creek. Northbound, State Road 11, from 40. Okay, they are parked at the 90 degree turn. Passenger is out of the vehicle.
So what you're seeing
Okay.
here with the thermal is this camera is set to white hot, meaning the things that look white are the hottest things within this image. Thermal cameras, when it comes to the black and white scale, there's two versions. You have white hot and then you have black hot. So if black hot was turned on, you would actually see the blackness right here in the wheels. It would look dark, and that would be indicating the heat. Typically, white hot is the more popular version to use, but you can toggle back and forth between those depending on the environment that you're in. So there is kind of an art, so to speak, when it comes to thermal cameras. I went through a law enforcement thermography course several years back, and there's a lot more to it than just pointing the camera in an area and then seeing everything. You have your, and I forget the terminology for it. Basically, your thermal energy. The sun heats everything up, basically, and throughout the day, and things are absorbing all that thermal energy and then releasing that thermal energy continuously. And so sometimes things during the day can look a little bit different on camera than what they could at night. And so you could find yourself having to toggle back and forth between those two different views to get a better image of someone, because there could be certain things within the environment that are a little bit warmer. It could add to some confusion with what you're seeing. But typically, it's pretty straightforward with what you're looking at here. So the white hot, the wheels, of course, are going to be glowing hot because, yeah, they're hot as shit. And then, of course, back here where the muffler and everything is, it's going to be warm. And then you can see the head on the people, and their heads are glowing white because, one, that's the most skin exposed. And then your head, heat rises. That's where your heat's going to be at.
How many occupants we got here? 1, 2, 3. 3 occupants bailed out of the vehicle. Clinton Cemetery Road at the corner. Yeah, so far all 3 are...
You see this guy has the AR-15 style weapon. They called it a short-barreled rifle. And I talked about this in another recent video. The difference between an AR rifle, a AR pistol, and a short-barreled rifle. So this could either literally be an NFA item, where it's a short-barreled rifle, or it's most likely, in my opinion, probably going to be a AR pistol. But they did word it specifically within the news release that it's a short-barreled rifle, so there's probably, there could be a good chance that it's also an actual legit short-barreled rifle. They just put a collapsing stock on it instead of having one of those pistol brace things on there, and that in and of itself automatically turned it into a short-barreled rifle with its short barrel. Otherwise, if it just had the pistol brace thing on there, it would be legally a pistol.
Yeah, they're just kind of huddled down in the woods here, just south of the vehicle.
Boom, through the rifle, through the drugs. I'll replay that. Watch down here in the bottom screen right there. He already started to throw it. I'll back it up again. Watch towards the bottom.
Okay, they're back on the run, going southbound in Clinton Cemetery.
Sheriff's Officer with the K-9! Announce...
Alright, so it's nighttime, obviously. If this agency can afford a helicopter, then it most definitely can afford night vision. So this is where I think that certain equipment can be utilized more often, but is not, because it's just not fully embraced for whatever reason. If these deputies had night vision, they could literally walk around without any lights on whatsoever, walk in complete darkness, and the helicopter could shine an infrared illuminator or an infrared laser down at where the people were at, and it'd be like a fucking just a beam of light going down to where they are, like a fucking lightsaber, pretty much. And the people there would have no clue whatsoever that there's this infrared light shining right on them. And then the deputies could literally just go towards that fucking light and then turn on their flashlights and surprise the shit out of them. Otherwise, right now, what they're doing is walking around with flashlights, and the people, where they're at, where they come up to them, those people know exactly where those officers are. Know exactly where they are. They know the thing about low light, and let me back this up. We'll go to an overhead view. All right, so let's say that this green box right here, let's say a bad guy was hiding in the woods right there, laying down. And let's pretend that these two bad guys right here are actually police. As they're shining their flashlights around, the bad guy gets to see, one, where that light originates from, so they know the location where they're at. It's like a beacon going off. So they get to know exactly where they're at, and they get to see exactly where they're looking at. Which means they know exactly where they are not looking at. So if these people were shining flashlights in this direction over here, well, little bad guy right over here, A, sees exactly where they are and can see where they're looking, which means they know they're not looking in this direction. So they could start to move further down this way or further out this way, or get their gun out and set their sights up on where the light is originating from and start shooting in this direction. That's why night vision is such a game changer, and that's why I firmly believe that agencies should utilize night vision a lot more often, especially if you've got very rural areas that you're going to be in. Now, if you're in an urban area, you're a city cop, yeah, there are still places within a city that you could utilize night vision, but it's not going to be as plentiful as, say, a sheriff's deputy or a state trooper who's going to have large areas of no artificial light whatsoever and could benefit from the use of night vision. So if, like I said, if this helicopter had an infrared laser and the officers were walking around with helmet-mounted night observation devices, they could literally just walk straight towards the bad guys, and the bad guys would never see the officers where they're coming from. As they got closer, they may hear them talking or hear the radio chatter or just hear their feet stomping through the brush, but they would never fucking see them and know exactly where they were until the moment the officers either A, turned their flashlights on or started calling out to them. And even then, when the officers are walking around with nods, their weapons can have infrared lights on them, so they can shine their infrared lights and infrared lasers at targets. And the bad guys never, ever fucking know that they got a laser beam pointed right at them, because they can't see it with the naked eye. That is something, like I said, that I wish more agencies would go towards. But when you get in the night vision game, that is something that is still unique. It's still peculiar. It's still in its infancy, so to speak, within domestic law enforcement applications. Of course, the military is all about it, right? The U.S. military owns the night, right? Like, we own the night. Night vision, PET 15s, like, we got that shit on lockdown. Unfortunately, our domestic law enforcement does not necessarily have that on lockdown. When it comes to law enforcement, typically that type of gear is only given to, like, your SWAT team guys. Or the units, because they're so expensive, they're probably only issued out to, say, for example, a shift supervisor. There could be a few thermal imaging cameras for the agency, and only a couple people have them, and those are supervisors. Everyone else doesn't have anything. Night vision technology is getting to the point now where it is certainly plausible and conceivable that each individual officer could be issued at least one PVS-14 night vision binocular and a headset to go with it, so they can walk around hands-free and see stuff. But for whatever reason, it just has not gotten to that point yet. And I think a lot of it is just a lack of education. You have a lot of administrators within agencies who, they don't really understand that stuff. They don't know how night vision works. They don't know how infrared lasers work or none of that stuff. They're completely fucking clueless. When you look at, let's say, for example, sheriff's offices, the person in charge of the sheriff's office is an elected person. And that does not mean that they have, a lot of times, law enforcement background experience. There are quite a few sheriffs in this nation who've never done police work before. Or they only have very, very, very little law enforcement experience, and then they've become sheriff. It's just a popularity contest, right? So there's lots of, and that's just sheriff's offices. City police and other agencies, those are appointed positions, so they've been there for quite some time, or some length of time, possibly. There's still some police chiefs out there who get hired who have very little to no experience within law enforcement. But a lot of these police administrators, they've never played with this stuff. They don't understand it, and some of them think that it's too expensive, and it can be expensive. It really can. But if you can afford a fucking helicopter and a thermal imaging camera on that helicopter and the support personnel to go along with that helicopter, you most certainly can afford freaking night vision devices to issue to your deputies. Anyway, enough of that. Going forward.
Okay, they're back on the run going southbound at Clinton Cemetery.
Sheriff's Office with the K-9! Announce yourself now or I'll send the dog! You'll be bit!
Bite him.
Sheriff's Office with the K-9! Announce yourself now or I'll send the dog! You'll be bit!
Bite him.
Now, for something like this, I certainly think that the PA would be more useful instead of just yelling and wearing your voice out.
You said they're waiting on us? I've given warnings. Fine.
Sheriff's Office K-9! Announce yourself! Keep your hands up! Watch him, buddy. Watch it, Batman, Red. Alright, I'm going right now. Watch him, Red!
Alright.
Yep.
Bad guys were spotted with guns. K-9 officer pulls only a flashlight out. I have a huge problem with this. Why the fuck does he have only a flashlight out? He needs his fucking gun out, pointing at these dudes who've been observed with weapons. Even if they were not observed with weapons, they have ran from police. They are a potential threat. You need to be pointing a gun at these people.
In a white shirt, start crawling! White shirt, start crawling! No! Keep crawling. White shirt, hands behind your back. Don't move. Yep, cuff him.
So, to my knowledge, it is just this K-9 officer and this other officer right over here.
Contact on the street.
No one else around. Except, of course, the bad guys. And all this guy has is his fucking flashlight. Dude, what the fuck are you thinking? Urgh.
Hey, blue shirt, crawl towards him. I don't give a f about your phone. Get on the ground. Keep your hands up. Good boy, Rick. Hey, get your hands up. You're going to get bit. All right, hang on a second. Here you go. You, crawl out. That's good. Hands behind your back. Don't move.
So yeah, that right there was hard to watch. Maybe, just maybe, his pistol doesn't have a weapon-mounted light on it. That's possible. I don't know. If that's true, then that's fucking wrong. That's more fucked up than a football bat. He should have had his gun out and pointed at these guys, providing lethal cover to his partner who was holstering his gun to go handcuff these guys. So during this whole arrest phase, no guns were pointed at the suspects. Totally fucking wrong. Now, with a dog, it can most certainly be difficult to control the dog and bring a rifle. The other officer, on the other hand, very well could have brought a rifle with him. And when you're in a very rural area like this, a rifle is a great choice to bring with you. It is a preferred weapon to bring with you when you're going out in the woods. Especially when you're dealing with people who've been seen with weapons. Dealing with people who have fled from a traffic stop. Rifles outperform pistols every day of the week. I don't give a shit what kind of argument you try to bring to me. You're wrong. Rifles outperform pistols all the time. Rifle cartridges outperform pistol cartridges in gunfights. Rifles will stop the fight faster than a pistol. So if you know you're going to something that can lead to a gunfight, bring a rifle. So, 2 fuck-ups here. One, this K9 guy did not have a gun pointed at the people while the other guy was arresting them. And secondly, no rifle was brought out into play.
That's it.
You know, it's an easy way to not lose your phone in the woods, right? Don't work from the sheriff's office? I'll finish the sentence. Don't work from the sheriff's office. That's how you know.
Alright.
That's how you know.
So that's it for this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.